craft brews and casual conversations. It's another strange brew of the months of strange brews. We will be drinking a Scottish ale. Robert is here again, and this is Dudes with Brews on a Porch.
Dudes with Brews on a Porch presents to you another edition of Strange Brews, Conspiracies, Murder, Ghost Stories, Aliens. They're all coming to get you, my dears.
Yeah.
How are you doing this fine sir? This fine day, sir?
I'm doing very day this, sir.
Good. Well, we're inching closer and closer to Halloween. It is just about the week before Halloween. Let's say October 26th.
Yeah.
Is when this episode's coming out. So it's we're a few days away from Halloween. So this is going to be our official Halloween episode. We're going to be drinking a beer from across the world. This beer is from Dunbar, Scotland. Pretty cool, huh?
Yes.
We're going to be drinking the Belhaven Brewery Scottish Ale, 5.2 ABVs, 28 on the IBUs. It's malty and hoppy. We at Belhaven love the classic Scottish ale and have been brewing it longer than any other beers we produce. Delivering a sweet, smooth, and creamy finish, Scottish ale has a stunning ruby color in the glass. Yeah. Magic.
Sweet.
Yeah. And
smooth, creamy finish, and it's let's see, it's got a nutty biscuit character.
Nutty biscuit character, huh?
Yeah, and it's what we got. Belhaven Brewery Scottish Ale, rich.
They were established
nutty,
in 17.
Smooth.
Rich, nutty, smooth. Established in 1719. This is the original Scottish craft.
Got a little crest on there.
Yeah, it's
a little dragon. Or
it
a
is.
Lion.
It's got a good color to it. You look at that.
What the hell do you think that thing is?
What do you mean?
On the crest.
It's like a goofy looking like cryptoid.
Okay, cryptoid. It really looks like a mix between a lion and a dragon.
This has got an interesting taste to it. Take a sip.
Is it rich, nutty, and smooth, and creamy in your aftertaste?
The neighbors are walking down. Be quiet.
The neighbors aren't home. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know how to describe it. Very light.
That's an interesting aftertaste.
Mm-hmm. It almost has like a... I don't get the nuttiness out of it. It is smooth for sure. Smooth. I would, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's smooth.
I don't... A little creamy maybe? I don't know how to describe it. Buttery almost? Would you say?
I think buttery and creamy go hand in hand, kind of.
Yeah, that's possible. This is only, I think, my second Scottish ale that I've had on the show, and so I don't really know too much about what it's supposed to taste like. But I'm guessing it's supposed to taste like what we're drinking.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I apologize for burping like that. I shouldn't have done that. It's very inappropriate. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
I wish I almost.
We'll debate.
Yeah, I'm drinking out of a bottle. I feel like. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like that's changing it.
No, I don't know how much it changes it, but it
doesn't. But for some reason in my head, I'm like thinking that yours tastes different than mine.
No,
it's like I have no reason to believe that at all. But
it tastes lighter than it looks.
Yeah, that's true. And it has a very long aftertaste.
Yeah,
it sits for a while in your mouth.
I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain the taste.
It almost has a numb. It numbs my tongue.
So what, that means it's working.
Feel weird?
No.
My tongue literally feels numb.
I poisoned it.
I'm allergic to nuts.
Oh. Uh-oh. Robert's dead, and that is the strange brew. We're gonna actually resurrect him like Mary, like last week's Mary.
Hey Drew, it's Ron. Pick me up.
So we're gonna talk about some people who were killed, some crimes that happened on Halloween or trick or treating time. So we're actually gonna talk about a case, or we're gonna start with a case that happened in our very own home city.
Foot of the lake.
The foot of the lake, or the bottom of the lake, whatever you want to call it. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And this actually...
Yeah, not Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac.
It's Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac. You say it all in like one thing, like it's one word, Fond du Lac. It's actually Fond du Lac, or I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it, but that's how we pronounce it, Fond du Lac. They, so this happened 40-ish years ago, a little over 45 years ago. A little girl, she was 9 years old, went trick-or-treating in Wisconsin, and she was murdered. She didn't come home. And this happened on Halloween, October 31st, 1973.
Yep, that was still back when you just sent your kids out.
Right.
All night.
So my daughter's 9, so Madison's 9, and there is no way in hell would I send her out trick-or-treating by herself. But you know what? She's in 4th grade. You know what I was doing when I was in 4th grade? Walking to school by myself.
Jerking off? I don't know.
Not yet. I was walking to school by myself. I would ride my bike to school, ride my bike to my friend's house, down the street.
Yeah,
like we did things by ourselves. But I didn't get rides.
I think there's a very good, like, I think like there's like a Darwinian or some type of principle that's like
Talking to the mic.
The underlying reason why I don't have kids, because I would totally be like, yeah, go trick or treat. Here, take 2 pillowcases because you should be out all night. Don't come back. Because that's what happened when I was a kid. But I also grew up in a trailer park, which was
a little close quarters.
It was like isolated, and we knew everybody. And when that pedophile came around, my dad headbutted him. So
for real?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
Tear Bear did that?
Yeah.
He headbutted a pedophile.
Headbutted him. Yep. There was a guy that used to drive around and try and give kids Tootsie Rolls.
For real?
Yep. And my dad gave him one warning, and then the next time he came back, he headbutted him.
Terry for the win. I can see him doing that.
No, he was...
he's a beast.
Yeah, my dad was actually like really...
protective?
Like he...
Which is good.
He's he saw what was going on. Like he paid attention, you know?
Right. Terry. I just remember there's mornings sometimes where Terry's getting ready for work, walks down to a living room full of sleeping kids, me and Matt.
Did you just pretend you were sleeping while he was bitching around you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all these fucking kids, like it's a hotel or something. What the hell?
Yep.
He likes us all now, so that's good.
I like you guys got away with so much more than, like, if I had one kid over, like one friend over, he would have woken that person up and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he never did that. He never did that.
Yeah, you guys were,
he lightened up around
He
us.
loved my younger brothers.
Well,
Wah, wah.
But anyway, so this little girl, Lisa French, we're not trying to poke fun at this or anything. We're just talking about what happened. It's a sad crime. She didn't return back home. Her body was found a few days later in a farm field, and eventually their neighbor, his name was Gerald Turner, confessed to murdering her.
Neighbors.
Yeah, you gotta watch them sometimes.
I've had some weird neighbors that I swear, like, I don't know where they are now, but they probably should be in prison.
Yeah, murder. I would hope so. But
you would hope that I had neighbors that belong in prison?
No,
thank you.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So this happened when you went trick or treating at night. It was in like an all day event, and this changed trick or treating for now well over 40 years, where it's only a 2-hour window.
Yep.
And it's usually from like 3:30 to 5:30 on the Sunday before Halloween. So trick or treating used to be on Halloween.
Yep.
Every year. It would just be on Halloween. You would go do it. Would go trick or treating after school or whatever. And
it's like 5 hours or something.
Yeah, dude, it was all fucking night.
Basically, as long as lights were on.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you could find lights that were on, you could go get candy.
Yeah.
And now what's interesting to me about that is that, like, I'm sorry, but it was the neighbor. The neighbor would have killed her eventually no matter what.
Probably. He's deranged.
It's just like it had nothing to do with Halloween. It had nothing to do with dark. It had nothing to do with, you know, it was like he obviously, like he was the neighbor. She like, you know, cut over his lawn with her bike too many times or something.
Yeah, and it was pretty like, it was a brutal thing, and the family actually fought back in 2017 to against the release of the killer.
Did he get released?
Let's find out, huh? So once again, you know, she was wearing a butterfly costume, went trick or treating. It was 1973. Everyone's kids trick or treated after dark on Halloween, and Lisa was going. You know, she said bye to her parents. This happened on Amory Street.
Holy cow! We know that place.
Yeah, we do.
Stomping grounds.
192 Amory. Where is that?
192. That would be closer to Johnson Street.
Okay.
Was it north or south?
Doesn't say.
Then, I'm sorry, Division Street. It would have been down by Division Street because Division is where 0 starts. So probably would have been around Merrill.
Interesting. Well, crazy because I had 3 friends that lived on.
Yeah.
You guys, Baltz used to live on Amory, and then Coleman. Josh lived on Amory.
And it would have been closer
to his house.
To Coleman's house, yeah.
So yeah, she left, and that was the last time they saw her. And
that's a heavily like that's not a
crazy.
Just so people know, like that's not a rural area. That's
in the city.
That's like the middle of town.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm sorry, that reinforces my previous statement that it doesn't matter about Halloween. It doesn't matter about darkness. That neighbor would have killed that little girl eventually.
Right. The plan was for this girl to meet a friend about a block on East Bank Street, which that was close to your old house.
So 192.
I don't know. We'll have to Google it or something like that.
Yeah, because Bank Street's all the way down. Like so just like this is kind of crazy for people like that don't know. And I have no problem because we don't live there anymore. But for this story to come up, like I lived on Bank and Amory.
Right.
Like that's literally we lived on the corner of Bank and Amory. Right. And for those 2 streets to pull up in this story, I've never heard.
I never knew that. Yeah, I've heard the story, but I never knew it was that like that. But so the man who killed her, Gerald Miles Turner, was a neighbor.
Oh my God! No, I'm just joking.
That was my neighbor.
It's my uncle.
No. Yeah, he's still remembered as one of the most heinous crimes in the city's history. He eventually was called the Halloween Killer. Of course, the family, you know, was incredibly torn apart by it. And
she was 9, you said?
9 years old, and changed Halloween forever in Fond du Lac and started a series of events that led Wisconsin to create a sexual predator law as well, because other things happened that I didn't mention because I don't like to talk about that stuff.
That makes
So recently, this happened. This in 2017 in December. Turner is scheduled to be released on September 7th or February 7th, excuse me, from the Racine Correctional Institution, and her family's trying to stop it. So he started with a confession and then a denial, and it's just fucking weird. Let me see here.
Did they ever find the body?
Yeah, they did. In a farm field. So it said the Rose Avenue, half a block from her home. Huh.
Oh, I know where Rose. Okay, Rose is that's before. It's like by Orange Street.
Yeah, where
I didn't think Rose went down to Amory, but
maybe I don't know.
We're talking about like roads like people know.
Right,
but they don't.
So
you see, Amory's it's a road. It's a paved.
It's a paved road.
It's like a flat pavement of sorts with intersecting flat pavements of sorts. Rose would be one of those. Bank would be another one, and they have it's too hard to explain. Never mind.
Yeah. So there's like conflicting like evidence with what he said and with what Turner said. Eventually, he said he did it. Then he denied that he did it.
Did he turn himself in, or did they question him and then he confessed because they questioned him?
I don't know. No. Oh, so it said like his Turner's girlfriend testified at his trial that during the time they had lived next to Lisa's family, the little girl would often visit to show Turner new things she had gotten or just sit and talk with them. And she told the jury that she and her own daughter returned home on Halloween night about 7:15 after attending the party at a Pumpkin Place, which I don't know where that is, and found Turner in a bathrobe on the couch, claiming he was sick. She left the house and then said while she was home, Turner went into the bedroom several times to lay down. Ugh. And she didn't see anything, and he told detectives in a confession that he would later deny. That's what it's saying. I don't know. So there was a petition to keep him behind bars, and then it had gained nearly 20,000 signatures. You know, it makes no claim that it can change the law or extent of the punishment or anything like that. He was originally sentenced to only 38 years and 6 months behind. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like 30, you fucking killed somebody, like a little girl, a little kid, and you 38 years. I think you deserve to fucking be dead.
Especially if it's too gruesome to even like tell the details, because I don't know what you're reading. I only know. What you're
I just don't like to talk about.
No, and I'm already bummed out by this story. So like, if I heard what you're leaving out, I'd be even more bummed out. I have a niece that is around that age, and I don't need to have a niece that's around that age to be bummed out, because that's just a bummer of a story. And there's a jet that's about to hit the house.
Motherfucker, someone doing. I don't know.
Dudes with Brews will be back after some technical difficulties.
I don't know. I don't know if he was released or not. I should maybe find that out. But
for some reason, the fact that it doesn't say it makes me think that he did get released.
Well, May 8th, 2018. Let's see. Halloween killer Gerald Turner's case to be heard in Dane County.
What date?
This happened in May.
Okay.
Let's see. He was living in Dane County at the time on his revocation, from parole. Revocation, whatever.
Grammar police.
Of course, granted the defense request, denying a motion from the state that the venue remain where the crime was committed. I think he was released. That's what it sounds like. February 1st, mandatory release date from prison prompted petition to commit him to secure mental health facility, arguing.
What was his name?
His name was Turner. Was his last name?
Tim?
Gerald Turner. Sounds like he. The state contends that even under high-risk supervision, Turner broke the rules, and that he suffers from mental disorders that predispose him to engage in acts of violence. Oh, was he fucking released or not? I don't know, but I don't know. It's it doesn't say. If he were released, he would not be placed on more stringent community supervision, since he would have served out his prison term, according to the DOC.
This is what I see. The scheduled to be released from prison, and then it also says, this is interesting. Gerald Turner was charged with sexual abuse, we'll say. Crime involving a 15-year-old babysitter, but was never prosecuted, therefore allowing him to roam free, resulting in the 9-year-old.
Sure.
The situation that we're talking about right now.
But
it does say that he's to be scheduled to be released. I
heard there's like some like vigilante in I don't know if it's in Ohio or something that like
he's released. It says right here.
He is released?
Yeah, Gerald Turner.
Well, that sucks.
Was ultimately convicted of abducting, raping, and murdering the girl. Released.
I don't like it. Don't like it.
Until 1992, when he reached his mandatory release date. So he's been out for a while.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, I thought he just got out. Well, all his articles are from 2018.
Well, yeah, this one says, convicted in 1975.
Yeah, he's 38 years.
Well, that'd be less than 20 if it was 92.
And then 8 more years. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't know. He's out.
Well, here, you talk for a second while I get this information.
Well, yeah.
Talk, goddammit.
Hold on. Let's put this on pause for a second. And we're back with the scary noises there.
Okay, so this is what I have here.
Okay.
I'm gonna just skip this.
Should we be talking about this, you think? It's public record, I guess.
Yeah, it's public record. I mean,
I feel bad.
Well,
I'm not trying to glorify it by any means. We're just talking about it.
Well, no, this changes. It changed things.
Changed history.
Halloween is coming up, and
Wisconsin,
and it changed the way that we do Halloween. It changed the laws that affect violent criminals. And we're not in any way saying that that we condone this behavior or that he should have gotten out of prison or that
he shouldn't have.
You know, it's like this really does bum me out. This story is not.
It's sad.
It's
very sad. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and
yeah, I don't even think sad is the word for it. It's
horrible,
it's
horrific.
So, it's like
tragic,
unnecessarily tragic. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But so just to get the information that I'm seeing here,
excuse me,
which this is
this motherfucker doing this lawn work.
Yeah, this is from prisonlegalnews.org. So I think this is a pretty decent site for information.
Prison legal work.
This is like it's like it's actually like
yeah, I understand.
It's federal prison like
yeah.
Yeah, so didn't you tell me like what kind of a podcast host doesn't call the lawn mowing crew ahead of time?
I didn't know he was coming today.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, thank you for proving my point.
I don't own the joint. I just rent. I just live here.
No. Anyway, so this was loaded or published on August 15th of 1998. So this says Gerald Turner, and the first line is just redefining what we've already talked about, and I don't feel the need to keep saying it. Gerald Turner, a neighbor and friend of the French family, was ultimately convicted of abducting. Apparently they say it again. Abducting other things and murdering the 9-year-old girl. Yeah, his neighbor.
Right.
He's a French. Dubbed the Halloween Killer, Turner languished in the maximum security Waupun prison until 1992.
Okay.
When he reached his mandatory release date.
What's it?
Now, predictably, the news of Turner's release was from prison sparked an uproar across the state. Right-wing politicians rode the wave of public outrage for all it was worth, decrying Wisconsin's laws as soft on violent criminals and promising to enact tough on crime measures to rectify the problem. The state legislature ended up enacting a sexual predator law similar to those in other states, imposing indefinite confinement on offenders deemed sexually dangerous. Local media routinely referred to this legislation as the Turner Law. After being confined since 1994, awaiting trial under the new law, so he went back in for a...
Oh, okay.
Turner's day in court arrived in January. Everyone in the state seemed to assume it was a foregone conclusion that the Halloween Killer would be judged a predator and imprisoned for the remainder of his life. The jury, however, didn't see it that way. Jurors
of course they didn't.
A verdict declaring Gerald Turner is not a sexually dangerous person.
Oh.
The DOC then had to release Turner on parole with strict conditions. So... The other big thing that it says here is, let's see, it says the verdict proved a major embarrassment, for tough-on-crime politicians who promoted the predator law as a way to keep the Halloween killer behind bars. Governor Tommy Thompson has tried to deflect criticism by arguing that Turner verdict shows Wisconsin needs a law requiring prisoners to serve 100% of their sentences. This is the important part. Ironically, it was another jury, not any leniency in Wisconsin criminal laws, that made Gerald Turner eligible for mandatory release in the first place, because prosecutors charged Turner with first-degree murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence with no release, but the jury chose to convict him of second-degree murder instead.
All right. Well,
yes,
there it is, I guess. Interesting stuff, and it's like you said, it's a horrific thing that happened, and
that's. I mean, how many situations does the justice system need to get it wrong, where the people that should be in jail get let free, and the people that shouldn't go to jail sit behind bars?
Right.
It's ridiculous how horrible it is,
and it's confusing. Because
have you ever watched a case and been like, oh, there's no way that the judge will side with the prosecution on that, or there's no way that the judge will
the jury
will overrule that.
Isn't it weird that like just a random group of people like determine the fate of it? Most of them have no legal expert. I guess they're unbiased in a sense, which I guess you need, but
well, the judge still has some play in it, but like
yeah.
And the other thing is like, a lot of trials are unfair in terms of what the judge allows in for evidence, and because the thing that really that gets me, and I guess let's if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole a little bit, it's something to talk about at least, but like in the justice system, we have it set up where 95% of people take plea bargains.
Right.
And down to misdemeanors or whatever. So they take a guilty plea so that they can get out of jail, or so that they get less time. They don't have to face a jury and potentially get a harsh sentence. Now, a lot of innocent people take these pleas.
Well, like, did you ever hear of the West Memphis 3?
Yes.
Are you familiar with their story?
A little bit. I plan on looking into it, but I know that there's like a documentary on it.
Well, they're out now.
Yeah, there's like a 3 or 4 part documentary series.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's tons of them. I've seen so many cases where, and I mean, from the way the cops get confessions to the way that the court is run, like with character witnesses, and this is what I was kind of.
You ever watch the confession tapes?
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
The one with like where the dude like murdered his family. Did you watch that one?
Oh, I watched so many at that time.
I think it's the confessions. Like it's like they like there's a guy undercover the whole time, and he like
yep, and he kind of like that was a crazy one. Yeah, in Washington, right?
Yeah, something like that. Like whereas the kid's family got murdered, and like him and his buddy, I'm pretty sure they did it. I don't know, but they like. Or maybe they did. I don't really remember.
Well, the cop was like acting like he was like a gang member or something. Yeah. And it sounded a lot like they were trying to impress him as
right. To get into their organization or whatever.
Like not even necessarily to get in, but just to have cred, like to have credibility, street cred. They want some cred.
Sucker.
Bank wouldn't give it to him, so they had to get it somewhere else. Yeah, that was a weird. But any time that you're doing, with those confessions, especially when it's like when they take them into a room for 8 to 16 hours or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are all that's stuff that's been being used for thousands of years to get people to confess, and not necessarily the things that they've done. Just because in the justice system, like the way that cops talk about things, it seems like. Not all cops, but a lot of, like, especially,
in these in cases like this,
in a lot of cases,
stories like you hear this,
they don't care. They say justice is served when this person is put behind bars.
Right.
Like if somebody murdered somebody in my family, justice to me would not be served until the right person was behind bars.
Right.
And I've seen like in a lot of those documentaries and a lot of stuff where it's like the family is even like they're angry that the person is trying to appeal and
right.
like whatever, even though the evidence is so clearly like it's like the evidence, the investigation was based on that guy doing it, not what the evidence said.
Sure.
It's like we fit the evidence to who we thought did it,
right.
not fit the person that we thought did it to the evidence. And but taking that even out of it, when you get into the courtroom, if you get talked into taking a plea, that's a guilty verdict,
right.
and you didn't do it, and then you end up in the system again for something you didn't do,
mm-hmm.
or something that wasn't that bad. Then they go like, oh well, you have a past,
excuse me,
now you have a record, so you must have done it, and and now we're gonna charge you with more,
right?
And the whole system would fall apart if everybody went to trial. But either way, in this case with the Halloween killer,
well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to talk about the West Memphis 3 a little bit since we talked about it a little bit. And it's kind of like a similar thing. So pretty much it's 3 men who were, while they were teenagers, were tried and convicted in 1994 of the murders of 3 boys in West Memphis, Arkansas. And they're all sentenced to, one was sentenced to death. He was on death row. One was sentenced to life in prison plus 20-year sentences, and the other one was life imprisonment too. And like pretty much, I think the one guy was like joking about it or something like that. There's no evidence whatsoever pointed at these 3 individuals saying that they did it. There's no evidence at all. Like they were just from the area, and I think one of the guys had been like joking, saying he did it or something like that, which is something you probably shouldn't joke about. But like they were in prison for a really long time, and there's been a lot of documentaries, a lot of celebrities and musicians held fundraisers in the belief that they were innocent, and the one was like pretty close to getting killed on death row, and eventually over time, they were released, but they had to plead guilty. And the one almost didn't do it. The one almost didn't plead guilty because he's like, well, we didn't do it. But in order for them to get set free, they had to plead guilty.
You get time served for what you plead down to, and that's the problem. Is that you don't? Do you want to roll the dice with the jury?
Yeah.
And the thing is like when you like the whole idea of what a lawyer does goes back to pre-Socrates days, like. There were these people called I think they were called the sophists. Everybody hated them, but they basically they knew how to argue, and they told people it doesn't matter if you did something or didn't do it. If you know how to argue, we can get you off.
Yeah,
and that's what they did. So people that had money could buy the essentially it's exactly what a lawyer is. You can buy the services of a good lawyer, and they will find a loophole or whatever. There was I think it was on that confession tapes. There was a group of, I think it was like seven black kids that got charged with sodomizing and murdering this girl in an alley. I mean, like brutal, like with a broom handle and bad stuff. And I forget why they even got involved with it.
Yeah.
Because somebody had seen them in that alley like way earlier or something.
Oh, like yeah. I watched that one.
So they rushed the trial and stuff, and then afterwards it came out that the prosecution had actually, like, the defense found out after the fact, I think, but they found out that the prosecution already knew that somebody who had already murdered somebody with the same MO,
right,
doing like really, and this stuff is not stuff that is in a normal murder, had just been released and lived adjacent to. Is there such thing
as a normal murder?
No, that's a good point. Very good point. Touche.
Thank you.
So let me rephrase. It wasn't. damn it, I don't know what to say now. Either way, it was very like it was just a very
right. It matched with the previous crime,
like exactly to what this person had done, and they just got out of jail.
Isn't he still in jail? The guy?
Well, yeah, and he was actually in jail already again.
Oh, really?
He like did that, and then like a week after that, he got picked up and put back in jail anyway.
Jeez.
But and that was one of the reasons that it like didn't come out or something. But yeah, 7 people got put in jail for a while because of that, and you know that's
it's weird how all that happens.
And it's like the whole system is quite flawed, and honestly, even with the Supreme Court thing that's happening now, like we're the only country that has lifelong appointments. Why are we not electing our judges to the Supreme Court, to the highest court?
Right.
You know, and why are they
why aren't we voting for them?
And why are they sitting on the bench for life terms? You know,
why are we? So yeah, it's like our presidents aren't even.
Yeah,
they're 4 years at a crack.
Think about going to your grandma or your great grandma. Let's say your grandma.
Oh God.
Going to your grandma and pleading a case about something that's going on today in your life. She would have no understanding.
I have a funny story. So my one grandma, I won't see what side of the family she's on,
Booty?
But
Booty?
Pooty?
Grandma Booty?
Huh? I don't get it.
Nothing. There's no joke. I thought that was her name.
No, that's not. She
Is it Bunny?
Bunny? No. I don't know what's happening.
I'm just messing with you, Drew.
Anyways, like she always has like a political. She always has like it seems like an agenda to push.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like sometimes it's very subtle. Mm-hmm. So like over the weekend we were all spending time and we were talking about my niece Avery, who's really small. She's a baby, and she's almost a year, but she's small. Mm-hmm. And my sister's like, oh well, I have a hard time getting shoes for her because her feet are so little. And my mom's like, oh, you gotta get her a nice pair of Nikes. And then instantly my grandma's like, or Skechers.
Such a weird thing to come down hard on, but okay.
And you know why?
No.
Because of the Nike thing.
What's the Nike
with
thing?
Colin Kaepernick.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. She doesn't, whatever.
That was not why I said in the last podcast Nike or Adidas.
No.
I totally like didn't even, I totally was not even thinking on that level.
But she said that, and then like we were watching like Jurassic World, and then she's like, oh, where does this take place? And somebody's like, oh, California. And she's like, oh, I hope they send them to Alec Baldwin's house. And I'm like, why do you need to? Why do you?
When did this happen? This is recently. Then
the other day.
Can I meet your grandma?
No,
please.
No,
I'll be nice.
She's a
I
nice.
just want to listen.
She's a nice lady, but she just like really like always. Anytime she sees me, she always like has like an agenda to push because we're very. It goes with what you're saying, like going up to your grandma and trying to say, I want a pair of Nikes, and
just like to plead any case. In today's like my grandma, because my grandpa worked at G&L, mm-hmm. and my uncle Danny worked at Merck, which are two big companies in this town, right? Like factories. Mm-hmm. She thought she knew everything about that or whatever, and the fact that I worked there meant that I must be making so much money and I must be doing so well. And I was like, trying to explain to her, it's like, do you realize that we not like all like your expenditures have gone up. You know that because you have expenditures. And she's like, yes, I know that. And I was like, then on top of it, we've had mandatory insurance now and mandatory car insurance. Those are two extra mandatory bills that we didn't have to have, that you guys didn't have to have.
Listen, Grams.
And our
fuck you're talking about.
And our wages have gone down. And I was trying to explain that to her and she's just like, well, I don't believe you. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, don't believe me then, because it doesn't matter. But the fact is, I'm glad you don't vote, because she doesn't vote. She didn't vote.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, when you're talking about 80-year-old people, they grew up in such a different time.
Well, my one grandma, she grew up not only, a long time ago, but she grew up in West Virginia.
Yeah.
which is not, back in the day.
West Virginia's, yeah, you don't even want there's somebody there from there now.
Right.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, like, my grandma was born in the Great Depression. She raised chickens in Fond du Lac, on Morris Street.
Yeah.
They were raising chickens on Morris Street because Morris Street was not yet a street that was part of town. Sure. And it's just like the milkman came and the kids would try and get the cream from the top of the milk. That was a treat to them. To us, that sounds
beat each other with sticks and go to the alleyways with Big Tony and Jimmy from down the road, and they would play tiddlywinks.
Yeah, and they trick or treated at night, and and
shouldn't laugh at that, but
no, I'm just trying to bring it back around. But
right.
The times have changed, and just to bring it back around again, I'm not even going to bring up why this is going on, but the new thing that has been happening for I think like 5 years or something, but because of something that I'm involved with, I have an opportunity to be a part of it, and I don't know if I feel like I think I have an ethical dilemma where I'm against it, and that is this parking lot trick-or-treating.
Parking lot trick-or-treating.
Haven't you ever seen that where like a bunch of cars pull into a parking lot?
It kind of defeats the purpose of really don't take candies from strangers.
That's what I said. It's like, isn't it easier? Like, okay, because here's what you do: you dress your car up. Like, you open your trunk and then you put you decorate it. Like,
yeah.
And some people like literally like cover the whole edges of their trunk so it like looks like a castle or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then the candy's in the trunk and you stand by the trunk and the kids they don't leave the parking lot.
Yeah.
Now to me it's like that seems like it would be easier to go grab a kid, throw him in your trunk, and then like drive away. And then somebody goes, "What did the car look like?" It looked like a castle.
Right.
Fuck.
Right.
Yeah. That's not why.
Do they do that in town?
Yeah. They did it
on 9th Street?
Last year they did it on 9th Street. Now this year I actually have the through Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Right.
They needed somebody to lead it because they had another previous obligation, the ladies that work there. And if not lead it, then come and bring your car and bring candy or whatever. But
I don't know that I like that.
And it's like, honestly, it's not even the whole like idea of
that happening.
It's the idea of like, I know how fun trick-or-treating was. And
well, you go to your neighborhood. The odds are at least a good amount of the people if you're going in your neighborhood. If you live there long enough, the people, you can trust the people. And like, yeah, to me, like you bring a young kid, like say even someone like my son's age who's 4 or 5, which why would he be by himself anyways?
Yeah.
But it has happened not with my son, but I've seen kids at the park that are young that are by themselves, and they're going in with this mentality of, oh yeah, like the one time I was by a bunch of cars and they gave me candy. And you're going to go to the dude's car now and get candy? Like, that just defeats the purpose of...
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
That just doesn't, like... To me, it's always... You don't take candies from strangers. The only time you take candies from strangers is Halloween when you're trick-or-treating. You go to their doorbell and you ring it and you're with your parents. Not out of a person's fucking car.
The only thing is that,
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Do you know that stranger danger actually caused more harm than it did good?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Ultimately... I think there's a lot more good than there is evil. And the reason, there isn't really any more crimes today than there were when we were kids.
No, they're not. They're just publicized.
They're publicized, which, so me walking to school when I was 9 years old, riding my bike to school, that was very commonplace at the time.
Just as much
in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. My daughter could easily walk to school by herself and be just fine. And I'm sure that would happen. I'm sure the odds of her getting hurt is very unlikely. Usually when that type of shit happens, it's with somebody that It's, it's a neighbor that you spend time with. It's even a family member, God forbid that would happen. But I'm saying I'm scared shitless to let my kids go anywhere by themselves. When I'm at the park with them, I'm like, I don't sit on a bench. I'm like, call me a helicopter parent at the park. I don't give a fuck. But you know how our park is laid out. They have like several different like play areas. If they go from one, I'm standing there. I'm not like hovering over them, but I'm in the general area.
Yeah.
And then when my son darts over to the next one, I walk over there. I don't just sit. Some parents just stay seated on the bench, and I don't. I don't do that.
And honestly, I think that was, there were parents, just like the statistics on like school shootings and kidnappings and all that stuff is pretty level. It's just more publicized now. The same thing goes for this idea. Like, there were always parents that hovered. There were always parents that like there were always parents that made their kids wear helmets. Like
my mom used to always want me to wear a helmet, and looking back, I should have.
I mean,
because
like,
there's plenty of times I fell.
There was that kid across the street from us on Amory that his mom made him wear a helmet when he was just outside, not riding a bike, not
just
like,
wear a helmet,
just like when I felt bad for that kid.
Yeah, but I would always wear it when I'm going down our home street, and then I would take it off and just hang it from my handlebars.
Yeah, if you're riding a bike, it's like you learn that when you get older, and the kids don't want to do that. But it's like, I'm just saying, like, I think that there was when kids were like 5 and lower, especially, there was no parent that was like, go trick or treating or go down to the park. Like, I mean, I ran away and went to the park when I was like 3.
Ooh, God, that'd be terrifying.
My mom
freaked,
and there was another time that I ran away and I just went in. I would just go into people's houses. Like, some of my mom's best friends, and like, seriously, like, we just saw Sue, who, the reason that my mom met her was that when we moved to Sun Prairie, I just ran away from her and ran into their house and hid underneath the bed, and then they became best friends. So, like, I don't know, I was like begging to get like kidnapped or something, but it's like there's the time that I ran away, and like I asked if I could go to the park, and my mom said no, because I was sick.
Fuck you, I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I took off and I went to the park, and then and then like some guy, my mom had called the police and everybody's looking, and then some guy like drove up and was like, I bet you're looking for a little boy named Robert. And she goes, oh my God, what? And
he's in my freezer.
He goes, well, he's down at the park, and he introduced himself to me, and he's, you a
friendly little tyke.
Yeah. I don't remember this. I just know the stories because I was 3.
Oh my God. I would be terrified, man. I would be shitting bricks if you were my kid at that time.
Well, yeah, and the fact that the guy like saw like he took one look at my mom and was like, okay, that's got to be the mom of this kid.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. This kid is asking for, hey, I'm Robert. Want to take me?
Jeez. Oh, yeah, that'd be horrible. That would be awful. Yeah. I mean, I think of, there was times where my mom would always like threaten to call the police when I was like late or I snuck out or something. But then I was like 16 at that time. I had my first car was a Ford Probe. And
oh my God, I'm jealous. I always wanted a Probe. I know it sounds like a joke, but I actually really like Ford Probes.
They're nice cars, but mine wasn't. It was a real old beat up. It was super loud. Had a hole.
Shitty.
had a hole in the exhaust. Heyo.
So it smelled bad.
But it was really.
How many jokes can we make?
It was really, really loud, and I would always push it down the street. So I'd have to push it down the street, and then I would hop in and start her up and roll. And then when I came back, I would like zip down really fast, put it in neutral, shut it off,
and let it roll,
and just fucking coast. But one time, my mom, she looks out, or Curtis, my mom's boyfriend, looks out the window and sees that my car's gone. And I did the old classic thing of shoving clothes under my blanket, so if somebody went down there, it looked like I was there. Yeah, and apparently it worked.
So they called and said it was stolen.
Because my mom thought she thought it was stolen, and she goes downstairs to wake me up, and then she's looking at this lump in my bed, yelling my name, and I'm not waking up.
Drew's dead.
She probably
He's been turned into clothes. What kind of black magic sorcerer does such a thing?
But she was so pissed, and then she just goes. It was like the day before my birthday when this happened, and she calls and she goes, Drew, if you're not home in a little bit or call me back, I am calling the police.
That's. I hope that's verbatim what it is. If you're not home in a little bit, I am.
Something like that. And that was just always sort of like go-to thing.
Where were you? My house?
I'm not gonna say where I was.
Oh, that doesn't tell me anything.
I'll tell you. I was I was at my girlfriend at the time's house.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was. So I mean,
inappropriate.
I think I was. Yeah, it had to be my 17th birthday.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, it definitely couldn't have. We can't say it's your 18th because we don't know.
No, it wasn't my 18th. It was my.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, 17th.
So you're okay because you're too young to make good decisions. Then.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, and that was just always her go-to thing. Like anytime, like I would be late. Or like I'd be pissed off at her and I just wouldn't answer her phones. If you don't call me back, I am calling the police. And like, what are you gonna say? 911. What's your emergency? Oh, my son won't call me back. Like, my mom is a worrier, and that's where I get it from. I worry a lot about my kids, and
you're a worrier because your mom was a worrier, but you were an asshole.
Yeah, that's 100%.
I never snuck out and put clothes underneath. I'm serious. I just didn't come home, but I never put clothes underneath my blanket.
Well, I'm glad.
But I called. I always called.
I usually called.
I think
we gotta wrap this up. But well, this is started with a strange brew, turned into a casual con.
Yeah. That's the last one was.
Lacking.
Yeah, it was forced. It was forced.
A little bit. You'll get that from time to time. But we drink this Belhaven.
Yeah, you get that from time to time. Fuck you guys for thinking lowly of us.
That's pretty aggressive.
I'm sorry, you guys. I've had 2 beers now, like 2 half beers, and I've been depressed this week, and it's Monday. This has been a rough. It's a Monday. It's been a rough weekend, and I love you guys. I'm sorry.
Belhaven Brewery Scottish Ale, rich, nutty, smooth. Do we drink it or do we dump it, Rob? I say we drank it.
I say I would drink it normally, but I'm only halfway done with it now.
That's all right.
And I literally have eaten nothing today, drank nothing today, slept at none at all today.
Yeah.
And so drinking is but I drank half it. The taste is good. It's interesting. It's worth checking out. Anybody that sees it and they want to try a decent beer, it's a good beer.
Try it out.
Drink it with nuts, I guess.
For those of you trick-or-treating, please accompany your kids.
Stay safe.
Be safe. Go in good neighborhoods. Definitely double-check the candy. I know that people say you shouldn't do that, but there's been poison pixie sticks.
Go with your gut. When you see a house and a person that looks weird and suspicious,
just walk away. Walk away.
Yeah, walk away. Your gut really is a very powerful tool.
Always say hi to your neighbors, just in case.
Yeah, give your neighbors $5 every chance you get.
Always be good to the weird person in the office.
Actually, don't do that because, I was just, I found written...
The quiet ones.
I found written in a notebook. I used to write stupid, jokes and stuff,
Yeah.
And it was I'm not going to even say what the beginning was, but the last line of it was, where there's a will, there's a reason for someone to murder you. And so don't give people $5 because then they'll think you have a lot of money and you'll get in trouble that way.
Dudes with brews.
Hugs.
Pew Pew Audio. Goodbye, everyone.